Hello, I'm Geoff Waddington. I'm one of the co-founders of RealDecoy, and I serve as co-CEO, and I'm very excited to be talking to you today. Okay, well, the first time I came to Jamaica was actually to work on some technical projects in Kingston. So I wasn't introduced the normal way for people overseas to go to the tourist areas. I actually came uh, down to do some work in Kingston. And I was fortunate at the time to be billeted to live with local families and to work out of the Technology Innovation Center up at UTech. So I was there on the campus and I got to meet students. I got to meet different people in their lives and elsewhere, which really sort of gave me a better appreciation, I think, for Jamaica and the real challenges people are facing. It was kind of a Jamaican immersion, so to speak. And it really helped me to identify that the challenges that existed, but also the potential that was there, especially those in technology fields who are graduating into the technology space. Again, this was 15 years ago. It was early, and there wasn't the same volume of opportunity for graduates graduating from technical programs. The local technology market, there's still, you graduated as a recent grad, you'd be doing, fixing printers or resetting passwords or this type of thing. So it wasn't a very robust software environment. And so, but the thing was, these were talented people. And so the real challenge was that there wasn't opportunity for them to truly, achieve their potential by working on world-class projects. So essentially the genesis of how RealDecoy in Jamaica became what it is that there was this gap between the potential of the people coming out of the schools and, what they were trying to achieve and what we could bring to bear from overseas, from customers with real world-class type of opportunities. So we also, another little anecdote, which is interesting, is when we were first down, we gave some money. One of the people in another business in the TIC at the time needed money to go back to school. And so my business partner, Richard, and I, we put some money together and put it in a box and gave it to her as a tuition thing to go back to school. And she burst out. Her reaction was overwhelming. And that stuck with me in the sense that people, of all the preconceived notions you might have about Jamaica, there's this deep appreciation for education and learning that I don't know is appreciated enough. And it really came through in that moment that people, if they're given the chance, will jump at the opportunity to learn, right? And will jump at the opportunity to move themselves ahead. And that really it's that opportunity to move themselves ahead that was holding back. So that really made me understand that, it's not, if it's an external factor, it's something that, we can fix and we can do. Oh boy, well, this is a topic I'm going to be speaking about at the upcoming JTDA BizTech conference. So if I don't want to give away all my notes now, so if you want to hear the full story, certainly come to the JTDA BizTech conference. But it really is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It ties back to what we do in our business and what we're seeing happening, not just in Jamaica, but around the world as it pertains to tech talent. It's particularly acute in Jamaica right now because we're going through a huge shift in terms of the thinking and the movement towards digital transformation, partially pushed by COVID, but also through just general business culture right now is starting to appreciate the digital transformation that's required. And when you look at the local talent pool, there are some gaps. What is particularly interesting to me, and it really shows up in a Jamaican context, is Jamaica places a lot of value on education. Nowhere else in sort of the US, Canada, and Europe do you see as many, to be a middle manager, to be a senior manager, you need a PhD in order to get there. So there's a huge focus in Jamaica on education and training, right? Which is really different than you see in most of the tech sector. In the technology world, what people care about is experience. So when you have a job interview with a Google or with other places, oftentimes they'll be talking to you and asking, what was the last project you worked on? What didn't go well? How did you get over that challenge? So the currency that determines how valuable people are in the tech sector is really experience, not so much education. Education is the key to get in the door, but there's not the same focus once you're in there on that. What really matters is experience. You said, I think there's a little bit too much focus right now in Jamaica on the training side, and it's not just Jamaica, it's everywhere, but sort of we need to train more graduates, and I don't know that that's the problem. I mean, you have UE and UTech and UCC and NCC and CMU and all these fine institutions that are graduating candidates that are able to do the work and have the brain power to do it. It's not a matter of having to have more or to change that. They're very in touch with industry. Like, I'm really impressed with the education, tertiary education, and how well it's aligned with what the market needs. But the problem is, once you graduate, whether you graduate in New York or Toronto or Kingston, you're going to graduate as a new graduate with no experience. And what the market is looking for and what the market will pay for is experience. And so we end up with, there are a few ways that you can kind of get around this dilemma, but one of the big ones, one of the ones we have available to us in Jamaica is the Palisados Foundation and their Calico Challenge. If you haven't checked that out, that's something to look at. But the gap is that when people graduate, they tend to not have the thing that the market's willing to pay for. And to get that thing, you have to have an employer who's willing to grow someone to that level that they have that experience, right? So the market is looking for experience, and the individuals who are graduate are trained but don't have the experience. And there is a gap in between those two things that is very difficult to fill, because for most organizations, the investment required to get someone from untrained or trained to experience is expensive. And as soon as they're have experience, they'll go for the higher paying jobs, and you'll lose them. We see that happening a lot right now, where once people have any experience in Jamaica, because it's a global market for talent, they'll go and get overseas positions, or they'll get other positions. So it's very hard to retain people once they have that experience, because suddenly they have value. So you have this gap. The world is, overall in the world right now, we're awash with people who are trained but don't have experience. And Jamaica is going through a particularly acute case of this. Particularly bad right now because nobody is recognizing this fact. And the problem with experience is it's something that you gain when things go wrong. It's something that is not necessarily time constrained. It takes a lot of effort to get good experience, because essentially you're taking a risk, right? We learn most things when things don't necessarily go right. That time that you made a mistake and it caused something to break, and that etches into your brain things that are very hard to just pick up from a course or from an exercise. You're going, a lot of the things that make experience so valuable are difficult to quantify or to package into a program that you can say, send someone off for 3 weeks to get experience. That's hard to do, but sending them off for 3 weeks to take a course is reasonable. And so there's a real challenge, because most companies and governments, et cetera, need to be able to sort of have that box they can put around it. But we're stuck in the real world that the stuff that matters the most is stuff that's really difficult to put into a box, right? So graduates are caught up in this reality. It's not just in Jamaica. Like, you'll see overall the salaries going to people who have experience, especially a lot of experience, it keep going higher and higher and higher, but there's fewer and fewer of them, because getting that experience is not formalized. It's very hard to do. Why we were set ourselves up in Jamaica was that we really we could see the potential early on of what it would mean to have talented people able to grow and to become the best. And we would have, at the time, it was almost like exclusive access. There was nobody else doing it, right? There was nobody else sitting there seeing this opportunity to engage this talent in a global context. So it felt like, and I used to call it like, it's our secret. Like, we don't want anyone else to find out that there's this amazing talent pool, that nobody is looking to Jamaica for these things, right? In the early days, we had a tough time getting visas for people to go to the US and Canada to take courses or to do work, because people weren't used to having technology professionals coming from Jamaica to go do consulting work overseas. It was usually the opposite. And so that was the sort of it was so not normal. Today, you would barely know that, right? If you're a recent graduate, or if you're sitting there looking at the current marketplace, you would not know that at that time there wasn't an export market for Jamaican technical talent. And so that was really why we incorporated, and why this became such an important part of what we do, is that nobody else had seen it, and we did. It's interesting. So we do have three values that we bring to the front all the time. We always talk about how we lead, we learn, and we care, and those values perpetuate through all the things that we do. So we select the best people, and we challenge them to learn faster and deliver better for our clients, and our clients get to experience what it's like to deal with professionals, right? So we have this unique position where we delivered services for a long time overseas. We did, to the point we didn't even have a sign out in front of our office. All of our services were being delivered for clients overseas because the local market didn't necessarily have the same sort of challenges for our people. And now we're sort of seeing this interesting place where we're able to take that overseas experience and apply it with the local knowledge that our team has to create something particularly valuable, right? So what we do for Jamaican organizations, or for Caribbean organizations, is combine that overseas expertise and the local knowledge, and to do it in a way that really emphasizes the professionalism and there are lots of people out there who do this as a side hustle, or do it, send the work overseas, or where people don't necessarily understand the context of the work being done. I mean, what we have is a culture that drives the best type of people to deliver professional solutions that are context aware of what's happening in the Caribbean and Jamaica specifically. So the thing I like to say is, we deliver solutions for customers like Samsung or Verizon, but still, can play Kaluki on a Friday night. Yes. So one of the things we've been getting engaged with is working with some startup companies to sort of bring new products to market. We have one that was birthed in Jamaica related to how energy and productivity are related, because as you know, or likely, even if you don't know, Jamaica has one of the highest electricity prices in the world, right? Energy costs in Jamaica are higher than most other people in the world understand, which creates this interesting environment where the adaptations that are taken in Jamaica to deal with these high energy costs are actually things that the rest of the world needs to learn from as they start to add prices to carbon and to deal with climate crisis, et cetera. So we've created a new product company called Core Watts, and we're working with some organizations in Jamaica right now to sort of bring this product and demonstrate its value. But it's a made in Jamaica idea that we feel can be exported to the world. So look out for Core Watts. I could give you the link to that later. It's corewatts.com, but it's a made in Jamaica product that I think is going to really be valuable to the rest of the world. Oh boy. This is one where I butt heads sometimes with people. Is I believe that the true sort of opportunities that make the most sense are often not from one discipline or not from one way of thinking. So to really figure out opportunities and to go after them, you need to bring perspectives together from different places. So, people talk about tech being innovative, but most often tech is innovative when it's applied alongside other disciplines, right? So tech with healthcare, tech with marketing, that's where you start seeing real opportunities. And so that to me is a cross-pollination. The opportunities we go after as entrepreneurs are things where there's a cross between ideas that exist in the tech world, in our case, and things that exist in other disciplines. And if you can bring those together, bring those perspectives, that's the type of opportunity you want to go after. And the other big factor is, ideas are really common. There's lots of really good ideas out there. If you're open to listening, if you're open to talking to people, you'll find so many good ideas. The challenge is always how do you execute on those things? And so a lot of people spend a lot of time hiding and protecting their ideas, but ideas aren't that hard to come by. Really good ideas come along actually fairly often, but the ability to execute on those ideas and the creativity and discipline required to go and learn from everything you're doing, change direction, make mistakes, that part is actually the hard part. And so what we tend to see is the things we go after are where those our ability to execute or the ability to bring it to life, the people that are involved, that is the part that matters, not so much the idea. And so, all the emphasis on ideation and all these other things, really, there's a lot of good ideas. The challenge for us is getting down to what can we actually execute on, given the constraints that we have as individuals and as an organization. So little context before I answer this one. I always really wanted to do things that would change the world. And when I was sort of growing up, the concept of leading a not-for-profit or working with an organization whose focus was to change the world for the better was always one of those things. But looking at how that world works, you spend an awful lot of time trying to get other people to fund your ideas. You're constantly dealing with all the difficulty of raising and sustaining funding to make that change in the world. So early on, what I did to get into business was to say, how can I create a business that is also able to allow me to make change or to do the social good in what we do? And our team has taken this to heart. We do a lot of stuff from a corporate sense, raising funds and volunteering and doing all sorts of different things. But it's really, if we can have the sustainable funding of a business combined with the social mindset of a charity, could we not create something that's even more powerful for both our people that have joined us and also for others? But, in my overall life goal, it's the same as the stated, vision for what we're trying to do with RealDecoy is, whether it's my kids or my community or the people who've entrusted their careers to me and to this company, the theme is the same. I'm trying to help people to achieve their potential and to do great things in the process, right? It's all about how do we help unlock the potential that is there so that people can really do the best of what they do. So I don't look to be, I'm not looking to do things for me. I think my role in this world and what we try to do is to support others who are going to go and do great things. And so that's really what drives me every day. That's why I get up in the morning. That's why I put up with the dark days and, make things happen, is that I believe there's so much potential out there that is untapped and that the opportunity is not equally distributed, right? That's one of the big lessons that I think everyone needs to understand. I was born in Canada, and that gave me privileges that others did not have. And so what can we achieve in the world if I can work to sort of provide those privileges that I didn't earn, I was just born into, so that they can really start making difference in the world. So that's kind of the overall driving thing that gets me going every morning.